Welcome to the preview for MLS Matchweek number 14 and the weekend games. And there's going to be a full slate of action, which means that there's going to be 12 games. There's going to be 1 on Friday, 9 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. And then next week, it gets a little bit weird because next week, there's only going to be half of the amount of games that we're going to have for the weekend games. And that, of course, includes the midweek. So there's going to be 1 midweek game. And then there is there's going to be 2 midweek games. There's going to be 1 Friday game. And then there is going to be 3 Saturday games. So I'm probably going to do the preview for next week just in one video. Instead of me just doing a video about the midweek games, I'm just going to do it for pretty much the whole week, including the midweek and weekend games. But that being said, let's take a look at some of these games. And some of these games are very interesting games. And the first one definitely could be one because it's between the Whitecaps and TFC. This is an all-Canadian matchup, and that this is only one of 2 all-Canadian matchup. The other is known as the 401. I think that's what it's called, the name of the derby, the 401 derby between TFC and Montreal. And, in this game, the Whitecaps are coming into this one with a record of 4, 5, and 6. And TFC coming into this game with a record of 5, 2, and 6. And both of these teams are kind of heading in opposite direction. For the Whitecaps, seems like they're heading into a upper direction with them getting points in 6 of the 7 games. While TFC, it seemed like they are heading the down direction and that they are heading in a little bit of a downward spiral by going 5 games without a win. Top assist leader for Vancouver, Freddie Montero with 2 assists, Ali Adnan with 2 assists. Not quite sure if he's going to be available for this game because, as you remember, Ali Adnan suffered that injury in the last game that the Whitecaps play. And then you got Imbong Juan with 2 assists, Las Bangora with 1, and Jordi Reyna with 1 assist. For TFC, Pozuelo with 6 assists, and the good news for TFC is that Pozuelo will be back in this game after he was suspended because of the red card in the last game against the San Jose Earthquakes. Osorio have 4 assists. He's questionable for this game. Altidore with 3 assists, De Leon with 3 assists, and Chapman with 2 assists. And besides Osorio and Pozuelo, Pozuelo is definitely going to be in this game. And Osorio, maybe he's going to be in this game. Other guys that could potentially be in this game is Michael Bradley, who, alongside with Osorio, were the other guy that got scratched off right as we about to begin the game, and that right about when they announced the starting 11. But yeah, this is definitely a tale of 2 different teams where both teams seems to kind of heading into opposite direction. When you look at form, it seemed like Vancouver might win this because Vancouver has been very good lately. But having said that, TFC, they're going to get Pozuelo and that they're going to get Altidore on the same pitch. And whenever those guys are on the same pitch, you know that the TFC attack is going to get it going. Although I am a little bit concerned about their defense. I mean, their defense has not been very good in these last couple of games, and that, the Whitecaps, they don't have the most lethal attack, but it doesn't take a lot for the Whitecaps attack to basically swarm on a poor defense, and that they tend to score just enough goals to win games, and that they also have a very good defensive effort. So for Pozuelo and Altidore, despite the fact that both are on the same pitch, it's gonna take a little bit of a work to trying to face against this defense that is a very good defense, and you could even argue maybe one of the best in the league. But having said that, moving on into the next match is Montreal. So Montreal, they were one of the 10 teams that play in the midweek action. They are playing against Orlando City. Montreal has a 7-3-6 record, while Orlando City has a 4-3-7 record. Montreal, of course, won 2-1 against RSL at home in the midweek games, while Orlando have won 1 of 6 games. And in terms of the top assist leader for Montreal, Urruti, 5 assists, Lovitz with 2, Behai with 1, Novello with 1, and Omar Brownlee with 1 assist. For Orlando City, Nani currently has 4 assists, Matinho with 3 assists, Chris Mueller with 2, Dom Dwyer with 2, and Juan with 2 assists. Now, as I mentioned in the news of the week earlier, Montreal just found out probably a heartbreaking and terrible news that could potentially have a big impact to their season, and that is Nacho Piatti is once again on the IR and once again re-injure his leg, which will keep him out for at least 2 months. And, I talked about how Montreal for the first couple of games and for the first couple of months that they've been kind of on a balancing act without Piatti. Yeah, that balancing act is going to just continue, and that, I know they've been doing well without Piatti this season, and that they really kind of rode their luck a couple of times and really just kind of bunker so many games and got some very tight resort in these couple of games that, you would think that eventually it would have to come to an end. And I don't know if it's going to come to an end. I think they're going to try the same method again when Piatti is going to be out for the next 2 months. But it's also a sense that, yeah, if you're the front office of the Montreal Impact, you got to sign an attacking player in the summer transfer window. Like, I know they already got Omar Brownlee a couple of weeks ago, but still, that's not enough. I think they definitely still need a couple of more pieces on the attacking end, and also really find a replacement for Piatti. Like I said, that the clock has been ticking for them to find a replacement for Piatti, and that, they have till the end of the season. I think if you're the front office, that you shouldn't have that mindset. You should think that this is really now the time to replace him, because even if he does come back, there's no guarantee that he's going to be 100% fit, and that what if he re-injure himself again? I mean, everybody was excited that he is back, and that, in those games that he's back, he hasn't really looked as good as he used to be. And now that he re-injured that leg again, and knowing that he's in the twilight of his career, it gets even more harder when, it's already hard for a player to suffer a big injury to come back when you're in your twilight of the career. It's even harder now that he has to do it twice in a single season. So, yeah, for Montreal, they need to get an attacking piece if they want to make the playoffs. Otherwise, yeah, I do agree with Impact Fan that this season could potentially go down to the drain. Now, the good news is they might get a win in this game against Orlando City, or should I say the toothless Orlando City team, because other than the FC Cincinnati game where they were able to put 5 goals away, they have not looked good on the attack. And it's not because of the fact that they just don't have attacking piece like Montreal. They do have the attacking piece, but it's all about finish those chances, which doesn't seem like any guy on that team can actually do that. So, yeah, for Orlando City, they got to eventually figure it out. And it's not going to be easy to try to create attacking piece when this is a Montreal team that is considered one of the best defense in the league and one of the best team in terms of bunkering. But moving on into the next match is Atlanta. So Atlanta, they won 3-0 in that midweek game against Minnesota to improve their record to 7-2-5. While Chicago, they drew 3-3 against DC away to basically drop their record to 4-6-5. And although you would think that it's a good draw for Chicago, drawing 3-3 to the Eastern Conference leader DC United, when you look at that game, yeah, it definitely didn't feel like a victory, and it felt more like a loss for both teams. Consider Chicago should have clearly scored more than 3 goals in that game of how many chances they have, and also they blew a 2-0 lead in that game. So, for the top assist leader for Atlanta, Villalba currently have 3 assists, Gresso with 3 assists, Joseph Martinez with 2, Barco with 1, and Escobar with 1 assist. For Chicago, Gaetan with 5 assists, Frankowski with 4 assists, Katai with 4 assists, McCarty with 3 assists, and Sapon with 2 assists. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Chicago Fire attack is going to do against this Atlanta defense that, has definitely been very good. And, Atlanta playing at home, they have definitely, after when they got off to a rough start to the season where they just, not only they cannot win on the road, but they cannot win at home too, which is just unheard of if you're Atlanta United, where they drop so many points at home. But ever since that, they have steadily ride the ship and has once again find Mercedes-Benz Stadium as the fortress of MLS, and a place that it is really hard to actually get even a point out of that stadium. So, this is a good chance for Atlanta to get another 3 points against a Chicago team that's just been so inconsistent this season. I mean, there's times where this Chicago team looked like one of the best team in the Eastern Conference, and then there's time they look like one of the worst team in the Eastern Conference. And it's whether it's the attack that's like on fire, but they cannot finish, or that if the attack does come to fruition and that when they score those goals to win games, or it's just the defense sometimes look absolutely lackluster, like the last game against DC, or when their defense just look absolutely amazing but the attack just doesn't want to function. They've just been so inconsistent in terms of the way they play. There's always tends to be one problem with this team whenever they have those losses or draw, and that either it's the attack that is not going well or the defense is not going on. So it's so unpredictable what kind of team will show up in this game, whether they can take it to Atlanta. But I think Atlanta should be able to have enough. Consider the fact that they definitely have started to ride the ship a little bit in these last couple of games, and that they have find that identity of being a defensive team, and we have seen that, although that has failed them a couple of times in these last couple of games, they have won majority of those one. So yeah, I expect Atlanta to win this one, but you never know what Chicago can do. It could be a Chicago team that is like that game against DC United where they go all guns blazing and they do very well on the attack, but only they can put away those chances. But moving on into the next one is the Redbulls. So talk about Atlanta United being a team that is having a resurgence in the Eastern Conference, and after getting off to a poor start, rising up to the Eastern Conference. The Redbulls is another one of those. Their record is 6-3-5 compared to RSL, which is 6-1-7. The Redbulls, of course, won 2-0 away against FC Cincinnati, while RSL lost 2-1 to Montreal away, which extend their winless run whenever they play Montreal at Montreal. The Redbulls, they're top assist leader, Marella with 4 assists. Same with Royer, that also have 4 assists. Fernandez, White, and Kaku all have 2 assists. As for RSL, Nick Beasley and Bofo Salcedo and Corey Bear and Rusnak all tied with 2 assists, and Holt with 1 assist for RSL. And, again, I think the Redbulls should be able to win this. RSL just have not been very good on the road this season, and it just seemed like while they have not been good on the road, they at least showed some kind of fight at the end of the game, but it just feels like every time when they do that, they always tend to come short at the end of the day. And I think with the Redbulls, after that impressive victory against FC Cincinnati, and that they've been on a pretty good run lately, I think the Redbulls should be able to win this game against an RSL team that just have not been very good on the road this season. But that being said, moving on into the next one is Columbus. They take on NYCFC. Columbus, well, yeah, they are probably one of those teams that is in just a horrible form and just in a downward spiral. And I think they're really the team that is in a downward spiral right now, because they have only won 1 out of the 9 games, and throughout those 9 game stretch, they have looked terrible. Like, they have looked like the worst team in the league so far. Well, they play against NYCFC, who is pretty much the draw king of MLS, although they haven't really been drawing as much as they have in the first couple of weeks of the season. And there are some teams that have almost around the same amount of draws that NYCFC have, but I believe they still lead the league in terms of draw with 4 wins, 7 draw, and only 1 losses. And unlike Columbus, NYCFC, they have been unbeaten since Domai Turin said that he was under pressure. And in terms of the top assist leader for Columbus, Higuain currently leads the list with 5 assists. Rubinho with 2 assists, Jimenez with 2 assists, Santos with 2 assists, and Zardes with 1 assist. For NYCFC, Maxi Morales currently have 5 assists, Aber with 2 assists, Lewis with 1 assist, but he's no longer with the team. And I forgot to mention and put like a little parenthesis that he's no longer with the team because now he's with the Colorado Rapids. Tajuri Shradi with 1 assist, and that is same with Castellano, also with 1 assist. And really, this is a pretty easy one. I mean, I think NYCFC should be able to win this. I mean, doing those 8-game unbeaten run, where I know most of those 8-game unbeaten run, they have got a lot of draw. In fact, half of the 8 games that they have gone unbeaten are all draws. But at the same time, they also have got wins in those 8 games, and that they have done it both at home and also on the road, which is pretty impressive. I mean, not many teams are able to go on an unbeaten run and able to do it both on the road and at home. So yeah, I think NYCFC should win this. I mean, Columbus, right now, I just have no answer in terms of how they can get out of this downward spiral. Like, this team not only is struggling in terms of scoring, but now they look like they're struggling in terms of defending too. So yeah, it's really gone terribly wrong with Columbus. And in some way, they kind of remind me a little bit of Orlando City of last season, where remember how Orlando City, they got off to a good start to the season where they got that 6-game winning run. And it's the same case with Columbus. They were, I believe, at one time lead the Eastern Conference, and then it just went all wrong, and that they are just heading into a downward spiral. And, you know, Caleb Porter, I know in the beginning of the season, I didn't think that he would be on the hot seat. I never said that he's been on the hot seat, but if this team continue to lose, and if this team continue to go winless, I won't be surprised that he would be on the hot seat because, yeah, I mean, this has been a terrible run. Like, even when he was with the Timbers in his first year, which I don't think he had a good first year with the Timbers, it wasn't this bad, okay? So, yeah, he needs to really turn it around. Otherwise, he could definitely find himself on the hot seat heading into later of the season. But finally, the final game that I'm going to be talking about on this board is going to be Dallas. They play against the Seattle Sounders, and like Columbus, Dallas are kind of heading into a bit of a downward spiral. Their record is 5-3-6, while they're playing against a Seattle team that has a record of 7-5-2. Dallas, of course, winless in 6 games. Now, unlike Columbus, Dallas, the reason why they're heading into a downward spiral is because they're missing so many players toward international duty and also due to injury. I mean, you know, that's what happened when you have one of the youngest team in MLS, where this is the year where the U20 World Cup happened. You have all those guys that is now with the national team on the U20 World Cup, and you have a couple of guys that is injured. Yeah, that's what can happen to you, where you, of course, will have a bunch of guys that is going to be missing in this game. And I even heard that FC Dallas, the situation has just gone so bad that they actually have to, oh god, I forgot what, there was this rule in MLS where in case if you have a lack of people or lack of player on your roster, you can call up one of your affiliate player. You can sign him on a short-term loan just to fill that spot because you have nobody else left on your first team roster. And FC Dallas is getting very close to that point. That is how urgent, and that is how much that they're just completely getting scrapped clean by all the national team or the youth national team that is going into the U20 World Cup. Now, they play against a Seattle team that lost 3-2 against SKC away. And in terms of the top assist leader for Dallas, Barrios have 5 assists, but he is injured. Baji with 2 assists. He's one of the players that is not injured. Ferreira with 2 assists. Reynolds with 1 assist. And Mosquera with 1 assist. For Seattle, Ladero with 8 assists. Smith with 4, Rodriguez with 3, Ship with 2, and Leerdam with 1 assist. And I just have a feeling for Seattle, this is a big game for them, and that they need to win this game, because the next one that they play is against Montreal, and it's a midweek game. They only have 3 days to prepare for that, and I think that is also a game where they're going to miss a couple of those players that is getting ready for the Gold Cup and also for Copa America and also for the Euro qualifier. So they're going to not have a very strong team when they play against Montreal. And I know Seattle has a good record. You know, they only lost 2 games this season. But when you're going to be missing most of those guys in these next couple of games, you got to win some of these games. And this is the second week in a row where Seattle is playing a team that is just struggling and that they desperately need a point. But I think, unlike SKC, FC Dallas is just completely depleted. And that even though FC Dallas is playing at home and that they've been good at home, when you have a completely depleted team, it doesn't matter what record you have. They will definitely not be as good as when they do have that first team that usually play those home games. So for Seattle, they got to take advantage of that and get all 3 points in this game so that, you know, not only they can keep up with LAFC and the Galaxy in terms of the standing, but try to salvage as much point until you're going to hit that tough patch where a lot of your player is going to go on international duty to go to a continental kind of cup. But yeah, that being said, let's now move on into the next game. And actually, I'm going to switch the board for the next 6 games that I am going to be previewing this MLS Matchweek. Alrighty, so next up is the Quakes. They are going on the road against DC United, so another Eastern Conference road game for us. But the last one, it actually worked out for once because we actually won the last Eastern Conference road game as we beat TFC away 2-1, while DC United, of course, drew 3-3 in that crazy game in the midweek against the Chicago Fire. And is it just me, but whenever the Quakes does play a team on the road or play a team from the Eastern Conference, that Eastern Conference team always tends to are coming off of a midweek. It was the case when FC Cincinnati came to here. It was the case when New England, when we play against them. And now it's the case once again for DC. And I think it was also the case for TFC too. But in terms of the top assist leader for DC, Rootney with 5 assists, Jara with 4 assists, Marino with 3 assists, Rodriguez with 2 assists, and Acosta with 2 assists. As for the Quakes, Espinoza leads the chart with 6 assists, Erickson with 3 assists, Salinas with 2 assists, Jackson Yule with 2 assists, and Anibal Godoy actually have 2 assists in this season. Now, obviously, I know the Quakes have been just gone on an unbelievable run in these last 2 months, and that, as I mentioned back on Tuesday, they actually have the second best record in these last 9 games. But one thing that I am very concerned about this game for the Quakes is that Espinoza is not going to be available for this game. As I mentioned in the review last time, Espinoza, of course, will not be available this game because he is suspended for accumulating too many yellow cards. And we have already seen what happened when we do not have Espinoza, and that last time when we did not have Espinoza, it was that New England game away, and we got destroyed in that game. And it wasn't just that we got destroyed because we didn't have like a lot of possession and we just kind of got dominated. We got destroyed because we just had no quality going forward, and that it just feels like if Espinoza is not on this team, our attacking threat is as bad as it gets. And against a DC team that definitely have good attacking threats, obviously Rooney, you know, he is going to be a dangerous guy. Acosta is also going to be a dangerous guy. And I also believe Ariola is going to be coming back in this game. So their top 3 attacking pieces are probably going to be coming back in this game. I am very concerned for the Quakes in this game. And it feels weird to be concerned the fact that this team is on a good run, but knowing the fact that those players that DC had, and the fact that Espinoza, which is the glue to this attack that's going to be missing in this game, yeah, I would be very happy if we can get out of this game with a point. Like, if we don't get anything out of this game, I'm not going to be that concerning because, you know, Espinoza, without him there, you know, it's just kind of the problem. And that is also the reason why we need to add some attacking piece because, you know, I hate it when teams only rely on one guy on attack, and that one guy that if he's missing, then the attack fall apart. And apparently the Quakes are one of those teams that if Espinoza is not there, that attack basically kind of just fall apart. So hopefully the Quakes can get something out of this. And by the way, before I move on into the next match, I also want to mention that the Quakes, in terms of the US Open Cup, where every MLS team enter into the 4th round, and I hope next year they change the format and saying that that MLS team can be in the 3rd round, because I feel like MLS team being in the 4th round, and especially now they group these MLS team into regional pool where, you know, you don't get to like play in the 4th round. You don't get to like play another MLS or USL team that is in the Eastern Conference. And I like the idea, the fact that they decided to kind of do geographic pool, because you don't want like a Western Conference MLS team have to go all the way across the other side of the country to play a USL Eastern Conference team in the middle of the week in the US Open Cup, and then you have to play a league game and you have to fly all the way back home for that. I mean, that's just not ideal. But at the same time, what is not ideal is the fact that once you're down to this stage where really these kind of pool, in terms of the geographic pool from the 4th round, there's not really a lot of teams. There's like, I think 4 or 5 teams in these geographical pool, and they're basically the same team that that are in that pool for the last couple of years. So you're going to basically have the same boring matchup that you will have for the past couple of seasons in the 4th round. I know for us, well, we didn't get a generic kind of game with us playing against the Sacramento Republic. And by the way, that's the team that we're facing. We're facing them for the first time since 2014. But you also get the Portland Timbers taking on the Seattle Sounders for what it seemed like the 1 millionth time in the US Open Cup 4th round. And although that is the biggest, if not one of the biggest rivalry in MLS, it gets a little bit boring if that always happens every single year in the US Open Cup 4th round. And talk about that Sacramento versus Quakes game. Well, as I mentioned, you know, I'm happy the fact that we didn't get one of the Cascadia team, especially on the road. But at the same time, I am very concerned the fact that we're facing Sacramento. Sacramento is one of those teams that it just seemed like they always tends to cause upsets in the 4th round. And I remember when we last faced them in 2014, which I was actually there for that game, we almost got upset. Like, we were down 2-0 in that game, and if it wasn't for Wando scoring 2 goals late, and if it wasn't for once we actually prevailed on a penalty kick shootout, we would have been upset at home, and that would have been pretty embarrassing. So I'm a little bit nervous about that game, and I think, you know, I know a lot of teams don't take US Open Cup seriously because it's just a domestic kind of title. It's not like the FA Cup where it's a very serious kind of competition and most teams just put off their youth squad into the team and their reserve. But I think the Quakes should take it seriously because this is one of the only opportunity where they can definitely get set piece. I know they're probably not going to win Supporters Shield or MLS Cup this year, but US Open Cup is definitely there if they get the right draw and if they can somehow, you know, able to catch some of those teams that only use like their reserve and we just use our first team. Now, having said that, if we decide to do this, then we do put a little bit more strain on the squad. But at the end of the day, if we do make a deep run, that's when we got to seriously consider a competition that we have to take it very seriously. And, you know, in the past, I have seen the Quakes take this tournament very seriously. I remember 2 years ago, they actually really took it seriously and made it all the way into the semifinals. So why not do it again this year, since this might be the only chance where we can get some silverware and get ourselves into the CONCACAF Champions League. But that being said, moving on into the next game is Colorado take on FC Cincinnati. Colorado is 2-3-9, while FC Cincinnati is 3-2-9. And I think a couple of weeks ago, you would say that this is the dumpster fire derby because both of these teams are just god awful. And although both of these teams are still in the bottom of their respective conference, Colorado has just been on fire in these last couple of games. They've been unbeaten in 3 games, and during these 3 games, they beat the Galaxy on the road 1-0. They beat Columbus at home 3-2, and they also got a point against a Philly team that is near the top of the Eastern Conference on the road too. I mean, this has just been an unthinkable kind of stretch that the Rapids have, especially how bad they start the season and how they had a record worst start to the season, and now all of a sudden they look like a team that is going to be on a mission and trying to resurge, just like what the Quakes are doing after they had a bad start to the season. Now they're playing against a FC Cincinnati team that doesn't seem like they're going to have some resurgence, because they have 1 win in 10 games. And in terms of the top assist leader, Fellharbour is still Colorado's top assist leader, even though he's no longer in this team. Jack Price have 2 assists alongside with Acosta, Shinyashiki with 1 assist, and Sam Nicholson with 1 assist. For FC Cincinnati, Saev, Maddox, and Berton all have 2 assists, while Alexander and Ledesma with 1 assist for FC Cincinnati. And when you look at this game, I really think Colorado could win this one. And I know it's insane to say that Colorado can actually be favorites in this game and potentially would win this one. It is the case. I mean, they're facing another Ohio team that is just struggling right now, and if they can just follow the same formula that they beat Columbus in that game and play in this one against FC Cincinnati, then yeah, they're gonna get all 3 points. And that the Rapids, hey, 4-game unbeaten after going winless in the first 11 games. Who would have thought that that would be the case? But that being said, moving on into the next match is Houston. They play against Sporting KC, so Houston, of course, they're back at their home sweet home of BBVA Compass Stadium, which is just a fortress this season. But on the road, that's where it's not really a fortress, and they are started to revert back to what they have been for the last couple of seasons, where they struggle on the road, and they lost 1-0 to Minnesota away. Now, that game, they did not have Albert Feliz, and I'm not quite sure if Albert Feliz is going to be in this game or not. If he's not, then that's definitely takes a bit of a chance of them winning again at home against SKC. Well, for SKC, they lost 2-0 to the Galaxy at home, and just as you thought that they were started to turn things around after that game against Seattle where they win, they had a letdown and they lost to the Galaxy at home. And believe it or not, Sporting KC, and this is a true fact, they're actually one of the 2 teams that still have not won on the road. And you would think that if there is 2 teams that haven't won on the road, it's very easy to say that the Quakes have not won on the road, and maybe even RSL or New England haven't won on the road. And New England is the other team, by the way, that haven't won on the road, but nobody would have thought that Sporting KC would be the team that still have not won a road. And it's not like Sporting KC struggle on the road. They're consistently one of the best team in terms of on the road and at home. So, but this season, because of injuries and the fact that they just downright start off very slowly, yeah, their odds of winning this game against the team that has one of the best record at home is not very good. Now, in terms of the top assist leader, Elise currently with 6 assists, Manotas follow him that with 4 assists, Rodriguez and Lundqvist both have 2 assists, and Kyoto with 1 assist. Kyoto this year, no doubt, has really struggled, and it's kind of disappointing the fact that he is struggling, because while I talk about the Elise and Manotas as some of the best connection in MLS, I also want to say that Kyoto, alongside with Manotas and Elise, should probably make one of the best front 3 and one of the most dangerous front 3 in the league. But the problem is, Kyoto is not really doing very well this season, and he was supposed to be the guy that once Elise does go, maybe he can carry some of the weight that Elise, of course, generate with this team, and he can still generate those kind of thing that Elise did on the wing, but it just has not worked out for him this season. As for SKC, Russell currently have 3 assists, Espinoza with 2, Gerso with 2, Rowe with 2, and Quase with 2 assists. And like I said, I think Houston should be able to win this game, but then again, it all depends on if Elise does come back to this team, because I think without Elise, this team, at times they have really struggled go in terms of the attack when they do not have the leads. And for Sporting KC, you know, knowing that they haven't win on the road, yeah, this is definitely, I don't put a lot of good odds on them winning this one if they have struggled on the road all season long and still haven't really found their form this season. But yeah, next up, it's the game of the week. It's between the Portland Timbers and LAFC. And while the records, when you look at the records, you would think, how is this the game of the week when one of the team is not even above the red line and have one of the worst record in the league, that is the Timbers with a 4-2-6 record, against the best team in the league and have the best record in the league, that is LAFC with a record of 10-4-1. How is that the game of the week? Well, Portland, they are unbeaten in 5 of 6 games. LAFC is unbeaten in 6 games. Both of these teams are probably the hottest team right now in MLS. And I say last week that, you know, once Portland, of course, got that win, I thought that they are probably one of the only team that could come close in terms of stopping this LAFC juggernaut. And they have done it before. I mean, last season when they play against LAFC and LAFC was just on fire, they basically just stopped them. Like, coming into this game, everybody said that LAFC potentially is going to win it and that they're just on fire right now, that they're going to easily get a win against Portland. And Portland decided to kind of just, you know, win that game and kind of say that, yeah, that seems like a good team. It's a shame that when you play against us, you, of course, unable to win us. And I believe also that was the first time when LAFC play against Portland, that was the first game that they have lost in MLS. So Portland, they know how to stop LAFC, and that Portland, it seemed like they always tends to have a very good record against LAFC. I mean, I think there's only one incident where the LAFC actually beat Portland, and I think that was in the US Open Cup last season. Otherwise, they tends to struggle against the Portland Timbers, and especially Portland. This is the first game that they're playing at Providence Park after the 12-game road trip, and also finally get to play at the newly renovated Providence Park. And knowing the fans are just going to be very up for it, and knowing the players are going to be also up for it, the fact that they're finally playing at home for the first time in 12 games, this is going to be a tough task for LAFC, and this could definitely be a chance where Portland is going to send a message to the rest of the league and say, yeah, we are definitely up for the task, and that you might see our record being one of the worst team in the Western Conference, but we are going to go on a crazy resurgence. We have been so good at home that we haven't even lost a home game in a long time, that we are going to make ourselves up into the playoffs. Now, in terms of the top assist leader for Portland, Valeri currently have 7 assists, Blanco with 6 assists, Chara with 2 assists, Guzman with 1 assist, and Polo with 1 assist. For LAFC, Vela currently has 9 assists, Atuesta with 6 assists, Mark Anthony K with 5 assists, Blessing also have 5 assists, and Diamande with 4 assists. But like I said, I would not be surprised if Portland beat LAFC in this game. I mean, they just seems to have LAFC number, and knowing the fact that they're playing at home for the first time this season, and the crowd is going to be definitely behind them, and they're definitely the closest opponent that can really take down LAFC besides maybe Seattle Sounders. Yeah, I won't be surprised if LAFC lose this game and that Portland would win this one and send a message to the rest of the league that, yeah, they are a team that definitely need to be taken very seriously. But moving on into the next match is Minnesota. So Minnesota, they're playing against the Union. Minnesota, their record is 6-3-5, while the Union is 7-4-4. Minnesota, of course, lost 3-0 to Atlanta away, while Philly drew 1-1 against Colorado to now be winless in 3 games at home. Top assist leader for Minnesota, Roma Martinier with 5 assists, Gregish with 4 assists, Quintero with 3 assists, Ibarra with 1 assist, and Finley with 1 assist. As for the Union, Wagner currently have 4 assists alongside with Medunian also with 4 assists. Isinio, I actually didn't write his number, but he currently have 3 assists right now. Montero and Akam also have a 3 assists, and again, I forgot to mention that Akam and put like a little note that said that Akam is no longer with this team. He's with the Columbus Crew, and later on he's going to be with Nashville. When you look at this game, I think this could potentially be one of those games where it's going to be a low-scoring game. I mean, it seemed like Minnesota, all their home games this season has been relatively low-scoring, except for the first game of the season where, that was the crazy game where it ended up 3-3, and that for the first 25 minutes it was like 3-2. But most of their game has been very low scoring, and most of those home games that they've been playing, it's been just grind out victory, and it's just games where they probably should have won by more, but somehow they're able to grind it out and win 1-0. Now in this game, I think there's even more evidence that this could potentially be a 1-0 or a 2-1 or even a 1-1 game, because you have two teams that definitely have good attacking pieces, but it seemed like they always have problem in terms of those attacking pieces of finishing those chances. I mean, Minnesota, they have their equal chances at home in these last couple of games, couldn't put away most of them. Same with the Union. They have so many chances, and maybe even more chances than what Minnesota has had at home. But they just cannot finish it in those last couple of home games and in these last couple of games. So, yeah, for this could definitely be a low-scoring game, despite the fact that there's a lot of talent on the attack and that both of these defense are relatively very good. So, but that being said, now moving on into the final game of this weekend, and this game, there could definitely be a big headline in this game, whether or not if Bruce Arena, of course, decided to manage New England for the first time, because he's going to be facing against his old team and the team that he managed last, that is the LA Galaxy, and that this could definitely be the Bruce Arena derby. Now, the Galaxy, they are coming into this game with a 9-1-5 record, while New England 3-4-8. The Galaxy, of course, won back-to-back games after going on a 4-game losing streak, and New England, as I mentioned before, they're still one of the two teams that have yet to win on the road this season. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be interesting to see if Bruce Arena does take charge of it, and if he does take charge of this game, man, this is going to be interesting. Like, usually when you see a former manager taking charge against his former team that he used to manage, usually the manager that's taking the new team gets the advantage because he know most of those guys. But in this case, since it's been so long that Bruce Arena has taken charge of this Galaxy team, I mean, he left, I think, back in 2015, and most of the team that is back in 2015 is no longer with this team in 2019, so I don't see that could be a potential advantage short term. But at the same time, if he does beat the Galaxy, that will be interesting to see what he's gonna say, and that, I think he'll definitely be proud of his Revs team getting the first win on the road, but beating against the team that he's been just so attached to and a team that he just loves so much, yeah, that could be a little bit awkward. But I think it could definitely happen. And the good news is it might not happen, because the Galaxy, it seemed like they're starting to find their form back, although they're really finding their form back mainly because Zlatan is back, and that he is once again proving to the rest of the league that, as much as he is a pain in the ass to trying to deal with on the field, and all the kind of attitude and kind of him being almost a jerk on the field and just kind of just always target one player, he is a guy that is just the heart and soul of this Galaxy team, and that he is just basically a one-man show almost with this team. Zlatan, of course, currently with 3 assists alongside with Polonta with 3 assists. Kitchen currently have 2 assists alongside with Pontius and Felcher with 2 assists. For New England, there's a 4-way tie for 2 assists. Buchanan, Pinea, Castillo, and Hill all with 2 assists, with Delima currently have 1 assist. But like I said, the big story of this game is whether or not if Bruce Arena is going to face his old team, and yeah, what happened if he does beat his old team. It's going to be interesting to see what he's going to have to say. And let's see if the Galaxy, of course, can continue this unbeaten streak. Well, this back-to-back winning streak that they have and can extend it to 3 games. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for all the games that I've previewed. I know this video was a little bit longer than usual because there are some very interesting games in this match week. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think will happen in all of these games, and make sure you leave your prediction below of all these games. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.